as we reflect on her life. Knowing Monique would have meant you had first-hand experience with a loyal and a selfless person. In her roles as a friend, a daughter, granddaughter, and sister, she never shied away from completely and openly expressing the depths of her love. Her love was not limited to her verbal and physical expression, but spanned any medium that could transcend the masses. On any given day, her WhatsApp status boasted those who honed her affection. Her expressions of love were especially centered around the matriarchal strongholds in her life, her mother, Yashel White, and grandmother, Monica Beecher. Her mother, whom she affectionately aliased to be Shelley, was a constant and consistent target for her outpourings of undiluted love. Shelley validates the intensity of Monique's love for her as she reminisced on the number of occasions that the roles would have been switched between mother and daughter. On occasions of her nightly outings and adventures, Shelley could count on a phone call from Monique and the subsequent scolding that followed as she felt little Shelley had stayed out past her bedtime. She would seek to ascertain her whereabouts, and Shelley could not end the call without confirming with Monique her expected time of arrival home. Her arrival home would be met with another phase of lectures, as Monique was not stingy in expressing her displeasure with Shelley, all in the name of love. In her recollection of Monique, Shelley withdrew these memories from the bank as the deposits that built up the unbreakable bond that would have existed between the two. She expressed gratitude to God that he could have loaned her this special human being that brought such warmth to her life. Her sisters, Jody and Kelly's, characterized Monique as a doting but miserable sister. Her modus operandi proved time and time again that she was a no-nonsense sibling who was a stickler for household rules and tenets. She was not impressed when her sisters would deflect from the rules in the slightest and would ensure that the repercussions were dealt as she provided her daily reports to the adults in the household. Monique was the strong arm of the law. Though strong and unrelenting in her pursuit for discipline to be dealt, her soft-hearted nature could not bear to stand witness to the punishment that would come for her sisters. This was demonstrative of the love that she had for them. She only wanted what was best for them. The fact that it would bring them discomfort or hurt did not sit well with her, but she had a willingness and was resolute in her stance that they should be the best they could be. Her grandmother, Monica Beecher, remembered Monique as a child who exuded a reliability second to none. For her grandma, no was never an option. No request, no matter how demanding, was never met with unwillingness. No weather condition was too unbearable for her to make the trek. Conversations with just about anyone who knew Monique revealed a concurrence with her grandmother's testament of her selflessness. My own personal experiences with her is consistent with this ideal. Some time ago, in the midst of the night, I sent her a message requesting her to accompany me on a walk. The next morning, she replied to my message, querying the time her company was needed. Later, I learned that her response contradicted her health, but her selflessness could not bring her to say no. Her fond memoirs are not limited to her home life, as those persons who interacted with her at school shared similar glowing accounts of her person. Miss King, whom she considered a mother figure at school, recounted that Monique was a student who had a tremendous impact on her life. The bond so strong that it drove her to break in her student-teacher boundaries by giving Monique access to her phone number. She expressed that she will always be grateful for the love that she experienced in her interactions with Monique. Monique's persona and presence was impactful amongst adults and children. She reiterated that 2 of her toddler cousins were her best friends alongside Althea, with whom she shared a bond mimicking that of a mother and daughter. She was instrumental in teaching her baby besties a number of games and nursery rhymes, and her fun and bubbly exuberance meant that the toddlers looked forward to play dates with her with great excitement. No one could come between Monique and Althea, who she placed on a pedestal in her life. Personally, I remember Monique as a fighter. In the moment she got presented with her diagnosis, she sent me a message informing me of the details. The preceding discussion was about her resolve to fight it to the end, as she expressed her wish that her hair would grow back healthy and long after her treatment. Though her resolve had been beaten by fear multiple times, she never gave in and never gave up. You fought well, baby girl, and we are proud of you. Mo, Mon, Monique, we remember you today as a caring, genuine, loving, compassionate, dedicated, self-confident, and loyal young lady. Though your physical presence is no longer in our space, your memories will always remain in place. You will be remembered as a gentle flower, swayed by the wind, but which never lost its perfume, the light that kept happiness visible in every room, the strong one who could never be seen as weak, the bond that sealed every crack and leak, the smile that removed the frowns from the faces near and far, the boast of the galaxies, the sky's brightest star. You are no longer here within the grasp of our touch. We will draw on your memories. We will miss you so much. Today we bid you farewell till we meet again. Fly high, fly free, my dear beloved friend.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. To our officiating pastor, Pastor Barnett, I greet you. If I stand here and say I am not broken, then I will be lying. I reflect on the very first day I encountered Monique. Sooner, I would realize that she was special. Special in a sense that when she came to us in grade 7, she was placed, I believe it was in the 5th stream in grade 7, in 7H, and so for some reason or the other, the reading diagnostic test results were not available. And so myself, Miss Taylor, and I believe at the time Miss Hamilton, we went to the 2 classes and we decided that without these test results, we are going to select the students that we would have in our reading class. Out of the blues, this child, after we introduced ourselves, this child said, "Miss King, me Afina your class." So I said to her, "I don't believe you're going to be in my class because we're going to do random selection and it can go either way." So she said, "Well, even if I'm going to anybody else's class, you have to take me, so somebody else would have to come out." Fate would have it. And after her death, I started reflecting on how divine how divine appointments are. Monique fell in my hands. And I said, "God, you know, I thank you that she chose me before I chose her." That is how special she was. And so as Mrs. Lewis shared, she broke that relationship between teacher and a student. She got my number. Never usually give out my number to students. I would give it to the parents. But Monique had my number. And what I respected about her, even though she had my number, no other student would actually go to her to say that, give me Miss King number, because she up front. Me nah give you. If you want it, go to her and ask her for it. Or if she didn't want you to forget it, she would have give you. And so we share that bond. At school, she called me her mother. She usually had it the wrong way, mother-in-law, and I said, no, I'm your second mother. In last year, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, when she said that, Miss King, you know, me have something to tell you. And me know say it's gonna make you sad, you know, but me don't want you to cry. And I said, really? What you do know? I should say, you know, me not do nothing, man, but me have something serious to tell you. And I said, what is it, Monique? And she said, you know, the doctor said I have cancer. And I said, really? I said, no, don't tell me this, because in last year we buried my aunt. Same thing, found out doctors couldn't do anything because of the stage. And so she went home. At that moment, I started ministering to her. So Monique, if you don't do nothing else important in your life, you have to give your life to Christ. Make it be quick. Make it be soon, because you don't want to know that you die out of Christ and then you face the second judgment, because we're all going to face that day. And I am happy when I read 1 Corinthians 15, which tells me that the corruptible will what? Will have to put on incorruption. Bless the Lord. And so I want to just extend my love to her mother. She spoke so much about you. I came into the family because of that. And so as a family at Haile Selassie High School, we never excluded her. And I'm happy she was very much included. And I shared earlier about some students bullying her. I remember that day. And Ms. Campbell could attest, because we sit beside each other. So anytime Monique come into the staff room to make any complaint, she always say, look like Monique, you're a form student. And I say, yes, I'm I've beaten that. She just know how to hold conversations. And I'm not talking baby conversation. Meaningful conversations make you think, is this a child speaking to you? The word of Ecclesiastes 3, and I'm just going to share from verse 1 to 8. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. We're in our season where we are mourning, but there's one thing I know for sure: weeping may endure for a moment, but I know joy comes in the morning. I bless the Lord for sending me, Monique, to teach me a way to love beyond words, beyond physical. Love is action. She demonstrated that. So while we mourn, there is joy. There is joy. And that is what I will hold on to. All of those conversations, all of the walks on the corridor, the times she carried my books, the times that we pray, I will hold on to that. So on behalf of the Haile Selassie family, as represented by myself and Ms. Kay Campbell, we thank you. Thank you. And we say thank you, God, for sending us an angel to show us how we are to love each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lady King, for your contribution. We'll now have the eulogy, and this is going to be done by Mr. Ethan Lee Lewis. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Let me just first apologize for Yvette Lewis, my mother. Unfortunately, because of scheduling issues, she couldn't be here. Yes, because of scheduling issues, she couldn't be here, so I give you her apologies. This is the eulogy for the late Monique Kaylene Sammott, born January 15, 2005, and who left us on October 15, 2021. On Saturday, January 15, 2005, at approximately 12 p.m., the clamorous, high-pitched, and piercing cries of Monique Kaylene Sammott signaled her entry into life's immeasurably complex arena. For the Victoria Jubilee Hospital's maternity ward staff, this was another success at bringing a healthy bundle of love and happiness to the expecting family. However, for Yashel Alicia White and Rohan Sammott, this marked a joyous moment in their lives. They were both gifted with the first fruit of their union, a beautiful 9-pound champion of a girl. She was also the second grandchild of her adoring grandmother, Monica, and first niece to aunts Suzette and Aliti and Uncle Lamont. For all of her 16 wonderful years, she lived at 64 Harwood Drive and with her predeceased grandfather, Beecher, grandmother, Monica, mother Yashel, Aunt Suzette, and Uncle Lamont. She was later joined by her siblings, Jody and Khalees. Monique attained her early childhood education at the New Haven Basic School in Duhaney Park. She then matriculated to the Pembroke Hall Primary, where she sat the GSAT examinations and earned a place at the Haile Selassie High School. At the time of her transition, she was enrolled among the grade 11 cohort at this institution. Monique was very passionate about learning and very conscious of the value of education and schooling. Her eagerness to attend was evidenced in her willingness to use her lunch money for bus fare if the money was insufficient to cover both. As a little girl, Monique epitomized gentleness, kindness, and warmth in personality. She was very easy to love and made friends easily. As she ventured into puberty, these attributes mellowed and evolved into more tangible gestures of love, care, and respect. Monique loved her siblings, Jody and Kelly's, immensely. She shared a special bond with them that only comes from being trusted sisters and close friends. She was never afraid to assume and assert her role as big sister and was quite forthright in expressing her opinion on matters concerning their conduct. She would even reprimand them if she thought they were out of line. Her grandmother, Monica, recalls that Monique was always willing to help her around the house. Unlike the average teenager, she would offer to help her complete whatever chores she was doing. She was very selfless and caring. Monique was very conscious of who she was. She was confident, open-hearted, and engaging. She was never afraid to share her thoughts, communicating exactly how she felt about any situation that was concerning to her. On one occasion, I recall her sharing with me how some unkind children were behaving towards her. While she expressed how badly she felt in the moment, she was quick to counter that she would not allow that experience to define her. She assured me that she would not allow their actions to make her act out of character. For me, that was a teachable moment, as it allowed me to truly understand the difference between reacting and responding. She had a spirit of boldness that prevented her from seeing herself as comparative. She chose to be the superlative at all times. As the family reflects, we recount one of Monique's happiest moments, the day she got to be a princess for an entire day. She always expressed her desire to experience a princess party. On her 8th birthday, celebrated January 15, 2013, through the instrumentality of her bestie, Althea, this dream became a reality. To this day, the dynamics of Althea being one of Monique's besties is not easy to explain. It is best understood through sheer experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Bestie Althea assumed lead role in ensuring that Bestie Monique was gifted with the princess party that she yearned for. While others might have been occupied with admiring Monique's outward beauty and the pompousness of the occasion, the thing that resonated with me from this event was just how she depicted the role of a true princess. She was radiantly beautiful and navigated the pageantry of the moment very well. Wow, how she enjoyed being chauffeured through the streets of her community in a convertible BMW. Such poise as she delivered her seemingly well-practiced princess wave. For me, the perfect keepsake was how her attributes of kindness, braveness, and genuine love for family and friends were heavily reaffirmed as she enjoyed this moment. Man, she was happy. Just sharing the moment with friends and family. The term Old Soul became popular with the advent of the nursery rhyme, Old King Cole was a merry old soul. Society adopted the term and defined old soul as someone whose age pales in comparison to the level of wisdom and emotional stability they display. Monique bore the characteristics of an old soul, a unique kind of person that you may be fortunate to meet once in a lifetime. Her indomitable spirit of determination, resilience, and love for her family commendable and worth emulating. Monique was easy to love. This attribute earned her some genuine friends who reciprocated her loyalty. It is therefore very appropriate and reflective of what Monique would want for us to pause to recognize her friends from school, Chanel, Paris, and her besties Althea, Rain, and Tyler. You could tell from her WhatsApp status that she deeply valued her friendship, and she took the time to celebrate them as often as she could, even when she became very ill. We also take the time to acknowledge her teacher, Miss King. She was always calling to check on her and try to encourage her. Her principal, Mr. Lorenzo Ellis, who was more than willing to facilitate her doing the City and Guilds diagnostic test from her bed. Even though this did not materialize, we appreciate your thoughtfulness, sir, and we salute you. Monique's fight with sarcoma was one punctuated with resilience. This brutal and rigorous journey started in June when she was so diagnosed. A month later, in July, she underwent surgery, a very frightening and nail-biting experience which resulted in her being in intensive care for 2 weeks. Her garnet spirit and faith in God saw her winning that episode. She won because she overcame the several doses of chemotherapy, committed herself to the Lord, baptized, and used her last days to further cement the bond she had with her sister, mother, grandmother, aunts, and uncle. The true test of her mettle was captured in how she navigated those difficult, painful, emotional, and horrible days. She remained hopeful. She remained strong in spirit, even as her body slowly succumbed to the rigors of the illness. Her grandma recalls a conversation where she confided in her that she knew that Jesus would deliver her just like the centurion's son. She believed that things would be better and that she would be all right. This girl was the epitome of a tall stalwart of hope and strength. As we reminisce, we are here convinced that she was contented to go, as on that fateful night of October 15, 2021, after reaffirming her love for her mom, sister, and grandma, she tiptoed out of our lives. The Lord indeed giveth, and he taketh. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Who can overlook the legacy of love and the desirable virtues that this 16-year-old brought to our lives? Truly we can say her short stay was well spent. Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, and well-wishers, it is said that sadness is not the worst emotion to endure. Today we can relate to this because in the middle of this load of sadness, we are uplifted, invigorated, and strengthened by the myriads of memories which remind us of how much Monique positively impacted our lives and always will. Her grandmother Monica, mother Yashel, sisters Jody and Kellys, aunts Suzette and Aliti, uncle Lamont, grandaunts, granduncles, cousins, a host of friends, loyal friends and besties, neighbor, church family, Haile Selassie family. We'll all miss her, but we're all delighted to have her for 16 marvelous years. Sleep well with the angels, Monique. You are at peace, and perpetual light is shining on you.
Thank you very much, Sir Louis. We'll now have a song, and this is going to be done by Nadia Lewis. And the next voice you hear will be our pastor, Pastor John Mark Bartlett. Thank you.
Good morning again, everybody. So customarily, I would not appear on a funeral program this often, but when Auntie Monica called to ask me to do a selection, I could not say no. And so I borrowed Monique's favorite word, which is yes. Last night I said to her, I am not even sure if I can manage this, because in reading over the remembrance, it was a very emotional time for me. And so I'm asking you to join with me in singing this song. Does Jesus care when my heart is pained too deeply for mirth or song? As the burdens press and the tears distress and the way grows weary and long. Oh yes, he cares. I know he cares. His heart is touched with my grief when the days are weary, the long nights dreary. I know my Savior cares. Does Jesus care when I've tried and failed to resist some temptation strong? When for my deep grief I find no relief, though my tears, they flow all the night long. Oh yes, he cares. I know he cares. His heart is touched with my grief.